All right, good morning, folks. I'm Byron McDaniel, Chairman of the Board. I want to call to your attention the clock up here. We know it's wrong. They've been trying to fix it, but we've got a new one ordered because you can't fix it. So everybody's lost their patience with this thing. So it's stuck in that time zone. So would like to invite Pastor Jim Kimbrell up to do our invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
God, we are cognizant that you are watching over everything. Because of that, every second in our lives matters. Because of that, everything counts in your economy for your glory. So God, for these men behind me, the citizens in front of me, pray for all of us. We are very understanding of the fact that we are sinners until the day we die, surrounded by people who sin against us until the day they die. So God, we need your help. Desperately need your help. God, I thank you for our first responders who are caring for us, watch over us, and put their lives on the line for us. God, I thank you for the laws that we have in our county that protect individuals and punish evil. God, we're so grateful too today for your grace. That Jesus died for sins and for sinners. God, so I pray for our county. I ask God that we would be a delight for these men to govern, would be helpful for the people that are first responders, praying for them, asking for their families to be cared for while they're out at night. God, I too pray that we would be a county that comes together each week and lifts you up. God, this is an area that is most concerning to the pastors. That we are a county hard-headed, hard-hearted people at times. So God, soften our hearts by your Spirit work in us. And today, guide these men in wisdom, the women in wisdom, guide everyone here. Keep our mouths in check, that we might not hurt each other. We might build each other up and have each other's best interests in mind. So God, be present. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, today's March 12th, 2025, and I'm calling this regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners to order. And even though that clock says 8:04, it's actually 9:04 a.m. And Rhonda, would you please take roll call?
Commissioner Buck?
Here.
Commissioner Schroeder?
Here.
Commissioner McDaniel?
Here. All right, before we get to approval of agenda here, I'd like to recognize we have Elizabeth Mayer Turnus here. Thank you for being here today. Also, I'd like to recognize Bob Free, our new elected chairman of the Republican Party. He's here joining us today. Thank you for being here. And I may have missed some other folks here. I hope not, but all right. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consent agenda. Ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is elected officials, department heads, and staff reports, and I'll ask Commissioner Schroeder if he has anything to report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to do a quick report. I have been nominated or selected to be on the Property Tax Commission from across the state and representing the commissioners on that. Minority Leader Speaker Rose Puglisi appointed me to that position, and we had our first meeting last Friday down at the state capitol. I'd just like to give an update on that quickly. We didn't make any decisions at that point. It was mostly an information gathering meeting. We had a report from Miss Vanda Howell from the State Treasurer's Office talking about the property tax deferral program. It's a program with people that are having difficulties with their property tax and are able to meet certain thresholds, can receive a loan from the state that will cover those property taxes. So we received a update on that as it'll affect going forward, of course, the property tax bill adjustments that come forward. We also heard from Ms. Elbert from the Colorado Department of Revenue, talking specifically about the property tax rent and heat credit, again for very, very low income levels. It was a very low threshold to qualify for those, but again, there's a significant financial impact on the state for those programs, and so we were given up to date to that. We will be receiving information over the next few weeks on how the bill that was passed during the special session last year affected counties across the state. And from there, we have a deadline, an ask from the governor's office to have a report together and back to them by May 4th. And so we can look at what changes need to be made in legislation to help even out the property tax. And so I'm proud to serve in that capacity and have some input on what affects all of us and how those property taxes are calculated. So I'll continue to keep you updated, the citizens updated as we go through that process. So thank you for the time, Mr. Chair.
Right, Commissioner Bug, do you have any updates or anything you'd like to discuss? Okay. All right, any other elected officials here that'd like to discuss anything? Okay, seeing none, we'll ask for any department heads or staff updates. Morning, sir.
Aaron Bourne, I'm the Director of Emergency Management for Elbert County Office of Emergency Management. Before we talk about the obvious elephant in the room, the fire we had last week, I just want to give a couple updates. This past Monday, myself was also at the Capitol as a representative of the Legislative Affairs Committee for the Colorado Emergency Managers Association. It was a lobbying effort by myself as well as some of my colleagues in the field, specifically for advocating for Elbert County and specific policy measures that come from the state legislature. So I had some great positive meetings with our representatives. I did not catch Mr. Richardson, unfortunately, but I did meet with our senator that represents our district, as well as some congressional budget office members, which was very beneficial, talking about some policy that will benefit not just Elbert County, but all emergency services across the country, across the state, excuse me. Secondly, I brought that up last public hearing, but we are officially announcing Mulch Madness. This is a free event for all Elbert County citizens to bring your slash and debris, organic material only, to the fairgrounds on April 5th from 10 to 2. This is a private-public partnership with Mountain View Electric Association, where they will be paying for and providing grinders or what are they called? Wood chippers, excuse me, and they will provide that throughout the day. You can bring your stuff with a truck or a trailer, unload it with us, and we'll chip it up and mulch it for you. You have the option to take the mulch with you or leave it, and whatever is left over, we're going to spread across the fairgrounds and have some nice, beautiful grass. So make some improvements as also a wildfire mitigation tactic. So moving forward, I'd like to invite my fellow department head, Monty Hankins, to discuss the Elbert Road fire.
Real quick.
Yes, sir.
Where are you advertising the Mulch Madness?
Yes, so Monday, the official flyer will go out. We'll send it to all of our stakeholders, Town of Elizabeth, Town of Kiowa, all school districts. We're trying to get as much people out there as possible to reduce the fuel out there for the upcoming fire season, even though fire season seems to be here already. But yes, that will be circulated through the county. That will be sent to the county admin as well.
Okay, good. So it'll be on the website, it'll be social media maybe even perhaps, and
Yep, social media, all of our platforms, the county will put it, I've worked with Amanda Moore, she's ready to put it on the county website, and it'll be on the county calendar as well with all the details. So, yeah,
thank you.
of course. Any other questions before we move into the fire?
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So I will be giving a incident overview first, and then we'll hear from our phenomenal Road and Bridge Director and Public Works Director regarding their operations during the fire. So this fire, as you can see, is Elbert Road Fire. It began on March 3rd at 15:04 or 3:04 p.m. It was located just south of the town of Elbert, east of 23,000 block of Elbert Road, south of just the town. On March 3rd, at approximately 15:04, a wildfire broke out east of, I'm not going to repeat myself. The fire rapidly spread due to the combustion of mountainous terrain, grass and timber fuel, high winds, and making suppression efforts extremely challenging. Elbert Fire was the first agency on scene. Elbert Fire Chief Brandon Homer assuming the role of incident commander. Mutual aid was immediately requested, and multiple agencies provided assistance, including Elizabeth Fire, Franktown Fire, Falcon Fire, El Paso Wildland Fire, Elbert Road and Bridge crews, and of course our sheriff's office that provides the role as the designated emergency response authority or fire warden for the county. During this time, the fire was quickly growing, so there was an air asset request, went through my office, which we put that through Pueblo Interagency Dispatch for an air asset. So it's a Type 1 helicopter used specifically for bucket work. So my office coordinated trying to get that up, but unfortunately, as we're well aware, that big storm with 75-mile-an-hour winds were coming. So it ended up being a go, no-go decision with the flight crew for safety, and unfortunately they were unable to take off and actually provide air support. So what ended up happening was just more mutual aid from our friends down in El Paso coming up to help us on the southern attack side of the fire, and on the north side, just the Elbert County fire districts as well as our Elbert County assets. Eventually, we were able to get the fire under containment. We had multiple different size-up issues. At one point, they were estimating the fire to be 300 acres, and then 350, and then 600 acres. I can give you a final number, which is 183 acres of two different parcels. This happened. This is quite common in firefighting, especially wildland. It's hard to size up an actual fire until it has been contained. You're not worried about the size until everything is actually contained and life safety issues have been addressed. Life safety was addressed. We were able to protect the town. I want to give a special thank you to Elbert School and Elizabeth School Districts. They provided school buses and were ready for deployment with bus drivers to be able to evacuate the town of Elbert if necessary. So I just wanted to say this fire wouldn't have been able to be battled if it weren't for the mutual aid and the entire collaboration of not just Elbert County and all the fire districts, but every single community stakeholder. We had to cancel basketball practice at Elbert School. Sorry, Tiffany. Her daughter had to cancel that, but for the public safety, but they were amenable and they were able to go have practice somewhere else, and it was very beneficial. So I'm going to hand it over to Monty to talk about some of the pictures and some of their operations during the fire.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Monty Hankins, Elbert County Public Works Director. Yeah, like Aaron said, the fire broke out just after 3 on the 3rd. How that works for Road and Bridge is all the supervisors within Road and Bridge get what they call a page out on our cell phones. It's basically a text message with all the fire info compiled in that. Tells us what channel on the emergency 800 radios and that kind of thing, location. So as soon as we got that, I was at the Public Works facility up there, and someone said you could see the plume from the back side of the building. So I walked to the south side of the building, and sure enough. So I grabbed myself and a couple other supervisors, and we started heading down there. And it kind of dawned on me with the location that we did have some blades, some road graders nearby. So I thought, typically we don't start dispatching assets until the fire chief requests them. But we were so close in proximity, I thought and their actual staging area, even in off-duty hours, I thought it's not gonna hurt to get those guys moving. So got a couple road graders moving that way. We had a full 8,000-gallon tanker truck sitting in our new facility. That's part of the big benefit of that new building is we can leave water assets loaded even in the winter inside and they don't freeze up, so they can be dispatched immediately for something like this. Which that did happen. Once I got down, I usually, when I go to one of these wildland fires, I go straight to command, and I have a good relationship with all the fire chiefs, actually. And so we just kind of tackle command together. The reason I usually go there first and set up is because we run on fire, and Road and Bridge runs on 2 different radio assets. Theirs is a 800, ours is VHF. So what they request from us, I have to relay to my guys in the machines or my supervisor out with the machines via the Elbert County Road and Bridge radio. So it's kind of a coordinated effort when that goes down. Ended up, Chief Homer did want grader assets and water. So I ended up having 2 more graders come down because we run in groups of 2, and I'll show pictures here in a second to explain that. But we never run individually, because if a road grader gets hung up on a rock or a stump or breaks over, you know, a little ledge, then a pickup truck isn't gonna pull that off. So you need another grader to pull that guy off that, whatever has him hung up, you know, for safety, so he doesn't get trapped in the fire. So we always run 2 graders together. So we decided, Chief Homer decided he wanted 2 graders on the north side, 2 graders on the south side, and then just cut line as best we could all the way around it. As you can see by the picture, there were a lot of trees involved, so that always makes cutting line with graders very interesting. So we staged the 8,000 gallons of water at the Elizabeth High School football field. That actually never got utilized because we got the fire out relatively quick. Once the grader started cutting, we got a line cut all the way around it, and I'll start going through the pictures here. And then shortly thereafter, the fire was out. What was unique, and this has happened to me about 3 times in my career here, is later that day we are plowing snow in a pretty heavy snowstorm. You know, so luckily during the actual fire, yeah, winds were stiff, and they were pretty strong just a couple miles north of this fire, but they hadn't really hit the fire yet by the time we got it out. This is Elbert Fire set up, and I want to give kudos to those guys, because I mean, typically in a wildland fire, you can drive around with a brush truck and spray off the truck and stuff. These guys, this picture, I wish I had better pictures of it, but there was a lot of terrain that was basically straight uphill, and it started at the bottom of the hill, raced up the hill, got on the top of the plateau, but these guys had to like really walk and crawl over rocks and stumps and on and on. All the firefighters that were out there really worked hard during this fire, because they couldn't just drive around in trucks and spray. They had to actually, you know, really get out there with their shovels and stuff, which was very impressive. This is a picture. These guys are actually cutting fire line on the other side of this little hill. But that's how the blades will run. And the moldboards, one guy will cut one, and then the other guy takes that windrow and kind of strokes it even further. And by the time you get the 2 blade wide fire line cut, it is approximately 30 feet wide. So here's a shot of that. That's where those guys, the previous picture, they just came through there. And you can kind of see as you look in the background how that fire line goes. And luckily, just around the bend of where that's at, there was a road that went up the hill. That helped us. We widened the road out a little bit to make it better. And then, of course, we cut fire line up on top. So what will happen in this scenario, and you can see right here, and there was kind of a muddy spot where the graders about got stuck right there in that picture. But you can kind of see how the fire will come up to that fire line cut by the graders, and then there's no more fuel. So just, I've watched it with really strong winds, just racing, like, I don't know how many miles an hour, and it'll hit that fire line and just poof, it's just done. So it's been very beneficial for the fire departments, for county property, county citizens, to have us be able to do this. Just another shot of up on the top side of this fire on the plateau, but you can kind of see off in the distance how some of that fire line got right up to the blade cut and then just extinguished. So that's kind of how we operate. It's a coordinated effort with the fire chief and Road and Bridge, and we've been doing it for several years, and it works out very well. The guys actually kind of enjoy it. It's something different. I mean, as long as structures and people aren't being harmed, you know, it's something different for the guys, and they actually get a sense of accomplishment, you know, assisting a fire department in doing something like this. Do you guys have any questions?
Great job by the firefighters, Road and Bridge, OEM, school district.
Yeah, it was a great coordinated effort. Typically, fires take long time. We were only out with this one 2.5 hours, which luckily, because then the winds did come up prior to that winter storm that moved in, which I talked to Chief Homer on my way out and asked him if he was going to have assets there all night, you know, watching hot spots and stuff, and he said, well, I hope the snow comes in, and you know, just a few hours after that picture right there was taken, the snow did come in and extinguished everything completely.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So following this event, we had 75-mile-an-hour winds that took down 155 electric poles down in the south, specifically around the town of Simla. So the next day I was working with Simla Fire Department, mass care issues, oxygen independent into people, making sure that they were taken care of, worked through that whole day. Mountain View Electric Association, big shout out to them. They threw out all their crews to bring up telephone poles and electric poles to get the power back, but there are thousands affected in the lower L and by the town of Simla. So that rolled right into 2 events same day. So I'd like to leave you with a quote from my colleague, who's the deputy fire warden for El Paso County, who provided the wildland team to help us with this fire. It's Colorado, where wildland firefighters are driving through a blizzard after fighting fires. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, any other department heads or staff updates? All right, seeing none, before we move into public comments, it's important that I remind the folks here today, your comments are welcome. However, if you have any comments regarding any item that's on the agenda today, we ask you not to do so. That's been the rule of the county for a very long time. So with that, are there any public comments today for anything other than what's on the agenda? Hi. Please state your name and your address.
Morning, Commissioners. Carrie Giblets, 19656 Wiedemeyer Road, Kiowa, Elbert County Environmental Alliance. I know that you are unable to speak to this at this time, but I wanted to talk to you about the XL Power Pathway Project. This is a project that you will be receiving in the not too distant future, and you just need to know that the citizens of Elbert County have been fighting this proposed route for over 3 years, especially in light of the fact that there are better options for our county. XL continues to tell us that there is nothing that can be done. They are going to put this pathway through no matter what we say or do, and continue to threaten landowners with eminent domain with every correspondence, every contact. So we just want you to be aware that the citizens are against this proposed route. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. We're not supposed to comment, but I will say that we're fully aware, and we are working hard to do what's right for the county. All right, any other public comments? Tell us your name and address, please.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Christy Coffin. I live at 28978 County Road 1721. I purchased my property in 2011, and prior to my purchase, the property consisted of 40 acres, and the previous owner had a fence line dispute with another neighbor, and they resolved this by the lady who owned my property purchasing 1.82 acres from the neighbor. She took the deed from that 1.82 acres, filed it with the county took it, replatted the property, and now the property became 41.82 acres. When I purchased it in 2011, the assessor's office indicated that my property was in fact 41.82 acres. And in 12 years later, after I purchased it, the assessor's office took this 181.82 acres from my property that was platted over 20 years before and assigned it a new account number and in the name of a new person who had not lived in the state for over 15 years. In doing so, the assessor's office violated my Fifth Amendment right. They did not give me any notice of due process for taking my property, no compensation whatsoever. When I first noticed the property had been taken from me, I reached out to the assessor's office and on several occasions pointed out their error. The assessor's office response was basically, so hire an attorney and sue us. The county assessor effectively created a 1.82 acre subdivision in my backyard in the middle of 40 and 60 acre ag zoned properties without any notice or rezoning procedures. Senate Bill 35, a law passed in 1972 in Colorado, requires that any subdivisions less than 35 acres be governed by procedures at the county level. Elbert County subdivision regulations address this. These Elbert County regulations require the CDNS director be responsible for enforcing these regulations when an illegal subdivision has been properly documented. I met with CDNS director on February 24, gave her the documentation of the illegal subdivision, and I followed up with her in April, June, and October. She indicated nothing had been made of the violation, and no one is talking to me at the county. County attorney, not the county manager, certainly not my commissioners. I've talked to Dallas many times, to no response. I'm not quite sure why. Adding further insult to legal injury, the assessor has assessed this 1.82 illegal subdivision on with non-ag taxes of $1,800 per year. To give you an idea, I have 41.82 acres with a house and outbuildings, I pay $700. So there's a huge tax bill. And despite me paying the property taxes in full in 2022, the assessor declared the taxes were unpaid and sold the tax lien at a tax sale in November 23. Essentially, the 2022 taxes were paid twice on this 1.82 acres, all the while violating Elbert County Subdivision Regulation G2 that indicates no building permits or other approvals or processing shall occur on the affected property until the violation is resolved and the property owner properly informed. Again, the assessor's office response is, so sue us. When the Constitution addresses an unlawful taking of private property, the Fifth Amendment, and the county's enacted regulations governing how such a situation as an illegal subdivision must be addressed, it makes no sense that these protocols would not be utilized to resolve this issue. The 1.82 acres is not differentiated from my property in any way other than acreage and tax base. The property carries my exact address, and it runs through one of my outbuildings that was built in the early 1900s. I wanted to make sure that the commissioners were aware of this unconstitutional taking of my property. And if an illegal subdivision and overcollection of property taxes, and find out if you really believe the best resolution to violating the federal constitution and county regulations is just sue the county. As a taxpayer of Elbert County who's tired of paying out settlements and lawsuits against the county, I find this overused method of issue resolution to be appalling. Thank you.
Thank you. It's the first I've heard of it. I will get with the appropriate people and circle back to you, okay? Any other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Brenda Deitch. My address is 885 Newman Drive in Elizabeth.
What was your name again? I'm sorry.
Brenda Deitch.
Okay.
Commissioner Buck, I thank you for taking the time to speak with me on the phone and encourage me to come here and talk to you about the issue I'm here about today.
No problem.
I'm here to talk to you about the flight training boxes that have been created over homes and subdivisions in the town of Elbert County. The noise from these planes is constant. I live 17.2 miles from Centennial Airport. Okay.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Sorry, that sun is right in my eyes, and I'm trying to get them to lower the shade. I can't even see you.
I'm sorry.
Like I hear you, but I can't see you.
I'm so sorry.
My apologies. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you. We'll start over. We'll start your time.
Okay. I thank you for your time today. I'm here to discuss the issue of the flight training boxes that have been created over areas of Elbert County. I live in Parkline Estates, 17.2 miles from Centennial Airport. With the amount of noise and the number of flights from the airport, you would think that I live right by it. There are other people in Elizabeth, Ponderosa Park, over by Flintwood Hills Road that are complaining about the noise from the flight training aircraft in these flight training boxes. There's an over-excessive use of what is called the Three Towers training box that includes Parkline Estates, where I live, and other subdivisions, Independence, all that. We have had confirmation from a pilot that goes to the noise roundtable meetings at the Centennial Airport that they have once a month, that there is excess use of the Three Towers training box. We have no representation on this roundtable board. I have one lady who is appointed, Pam Thompson, on that board. She represents Foxfield, who has been kind of backing me up and other citizens with the complaints about this noise that infiltrates our homes from before 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. at night. We've seen multiple violations happening in these training boxes. They're flying under 1,000 feet over our homes when the FAA has designated our area as a high-density area, and they now need to remain 1,000 feet above our homes. They're doing these stall-out maneuvers and stuff right over our homes. There have been plane crashes associated with these maneuvers, and we quite frankly don't want them doing over our homes, by our homes, over anyone's homes in this county. We don't think that's right, that they're endangering our lives and our properties doing this kind of stuff. So I'm here to ask you all for sponsorship to join the board at the Centennial Roundtable Noise Complaint to address the issues for the citizens of Elbert County that this is affecting and get some results for this. That's all I have to say. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Pam Thompson. I am Vice Chair of that Centennial Noise Community Roundtable. And I am just here to back up what Brenda has spoken about. I have information for you regarding the bylaws of the Noise Roundtable, the memorandum of understanding, and contact information of how to get a hold of the executive committee of that Noise Roundtable. If I so may present this to you. Please. I also have the aeronautical chart. If you're not familiar with, you have 8 boxes that are down in this Elbert County area. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and we would love to resolve or give some relief to this area.
Do you know if the FAA has issued a notice to airmen for that area?
No, the FAA is very hard to talk to and speak to about, especially these training boxes. The training boxes are assigned by the flight schools themselves, not even by the Pilots Association. So As long as they're staying within certain regulations, the FAA says, oh, it's free airspace. You do what you want. So,
How many flights are you talking about on a daily basis? Just so we got an idea of what you're talking about in these training boxes over the subdivision.
approximately in these training box, in the one in particular, the Three Towers area, we had just done a study at the High Peak, and that was in July of 2024, and there were 3,700 and some odd flights going in that area in 1 month. So you're talking over 110 flights a day. And that's a constantly buzzing noise. When you don't live next to an airport, you're not expecting that. So noise can be measured in rather different extremes. It can be measured in decibels, so 65 decibels is an extreme to the FAA. But it also can be measured in the frequency, how many times we're going over an area. And when you're getting buzzed completely, when a plane comes into an area, he's not just coming into an area and leaving. He's coming in, practicing, making several turns, and then leaving. That's one entry. So
And this is all from Centennial Airport?
most of it, you do have DIA crossing over, but DIA is crossing over at 3,000 plus, Sometimes you will have Rocky Mountain come down and use the training boxes, but Centennial Airport is your main, probably 90% offender. There is an FAA regulation that says that if you are a new flight student, you have to remain within 25 miles of the airport to do your practice locations. And unfortunately, that puts the Three Towers and the Ponderosa Park area in that good place to practice. The boxes themselves are approximately 18 miles by maybe 12 or 15 miles. So you have box 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stacked 4 down at the bottom. So if you have any questions, please do reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much for your time.
Are there any other public comments? All right, seeing none, before we go to our next discussion items, we're going to call for a short recess, maybe 10 minutes. All right, and the time's now 8:38, so let's 8:38, 9:38. Yeah, I said I wasn't going to do that today, but right off the bat. So it's 9:38, so let's just say 9:50, round it off. We'll be back here. Good with that? Okay. We're adjourned, right, or recess. All right, folks, it's 9:50. Hey, I got it right. It's 9:50. We're gonna come out of recess and call order. So our next discussion items are on the agenda here. So with that, we'll call Kevin Hall up to discuss the noxious weeds.
Noxious weeds, we have plenty of them in Elbert County. So I'm Kevin Hall, Chairman of the Noxious Weed Advisory Board. We also have past Chairwoman Sue Link here, Secretary Leslie Roper, and Board Member Pam Brewster, as well as Callie Benson from CSU Extension. In 2022, we were reestablished as a board per the Noxious Weed Act in the state of Colorado. We've worked closely over these last 2.5 years with Road and Bridge, establishing some protocol for weed mitigation in the rights-of-way along the county roads and whatnot. Currently, the protocol is for, and Monty can correct me if I'm incorrect, for blade operators to, if they see some weeds, they make note of that, and when there's time allowed, for them to go out and spray that. all that needs to be mapped as well and put into the state's website so that when, because it's a state law, the Noxious Weed Act. So that's time consuming for the guys at Road and Bridge because they have to go out and draw a little map, well, county road, blah, 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 we have this and we need to go back. And so somebody's got to spend all that time putting it into the database. Currently this year, it appears as though we're going to get some contracting out for the weed spraying in the rights of way for private contractors, which will allow Road and Bridge to do their job much better. And then that's one less thing they have to worry about. We've also tried to establish information leaflets in the planning department, packages that go out to potential developers, new landowners that come into the county so that they are aware of what the noxious weeds are, any of the ground that they disturb, some sort of a reclamation process that will eliminate the weeds. I don't know that we've been real successful at that effort. There's no protocol for enforcement of the act in the county. I mean, it's just, what are you going to do, squeal on your neighbor? We're all trying to get along and be good neighbors. But education has been our primary goal throughout this whole thing. We've worked closely with CSU, the Master Gardeners, with weed walks. We've also had booths at Elizabeth, Elbert Day, the county fair. We also had one at the 150th county celebration where we hand out weed booklets that list all the noxious weeds in Colorado and the different, there's 3 categories, A, B, and C. A being eliminate and eradicate at all costs. B, control. C, not so much a problem. So we've done that. We've also had articles in the Elbert County Connection and the Ranchland News about our efforts in educating the public and weed mitigation. Last year, we lost one of our founding board members, Jean Allen, and in her honor, we established the Jean Allen Memorial Award for Excellence in Weed Management. We have chosen Rowan and Marilyn Tyson. Rowan is no longer with us, unfortunately, and Marilyn is here today. And we have a brief video of what we've been trying to accomplish. Yeah.
We had knapweed, we had mullein, we had Canadian thistle, we had toadflax, bull thistle. There was lots of sage, and Ron's response was, if you don't take care of your land can't take care of you.
My name is Sue Link. I'm the Elbert County Noxious Weed Board Chairman, and our purpose is to advise and to ensure the policy of the Colorado Weed Act. Each county in Colorado needs to follow and be compliant to this Weed Act. So basically what that's saying is any noxious weed that's growing needs to be addressed. So the story about noxious weeds really starts back when people were immigrating from Europe to here. Inadvertently, they brought weed seeds with them. So we call these weed seeds when they do propagate invasive species. So part of our efforts is not only educating about these weeds and how to mitigate them, but there's 4 actual ways to control them. One is chemical, one is mechanical, one is biological, and then cultural.
I'm in the outfitting business, and I've got a lot of ranches leased. What I've seen in Elbert County is a growing population of small places that when a lot of people come in, they think the little yellow weeds are really pretty and they want to propagate that species when they are a noxious weed. In my opinion, the noxious weeds are such a problem because they're doing away with the native grasses. They will out-compete the grasses for water, for sun, for all the above. It's a problem to see the native species decline because this really is some of the best grass country in the United States.
So the name of the award is the Jean Allen Memorial Award. This is the first time this award has been given. It's significant that we are awarding Marilyn and her late husband, Rowan Tyson, this award. They have gone above and beyond in all their efforts to address invasive species, also called noxious weeds, on their land?
Well, we bought it in the fall of 1989. We both grew up here. Rowan grew up south of Franktown. I grew up at Kiowa. And we wanted to stay in the area, and we knew it was good grass country. Nothing to work with to start with. No fences, no buildings, nothing. So we just started out doing fencing and doing weed control. And we saw that there was numerous noxious weeds, and we decided we needed to take a stand so that we would have grass, because we always run yearlings, and you don't get gains if you don't have good grass.
At that time, they had a lot of toadflax, leafy spurge was here, there was diffuse knapweed, we had Canada thistle, musk thistle. I mean, it was just kind of a mess at that point. And they had said that they'd been working on stuff for years and years and years. And it kind of got to the point where they couldn't deal with it anymore. And I think it was a particularly bad year for weeds. The first year, I think we sprayed 200 acres, and that was the biggest chunk we ever sprayed on this place.
So we would just start spraying areas at a time, every year, that we could only afford to do so much per year, and we just attacked it that way. I'm in the pasture every single day. Number one, checking cattle first, and then just driving around to see what it looks like, see where there's another patch of weeds growing, because, birds spread the weeds, the wind spreads the weeds, and, if you have neighbors that are not spraying, then you get them. And so you just have to keep a handle on it. You have to watch day after day after day. It beats staying in the house. Be a task, great or small, do it right or not at all.
They just wanted this thing to look pristine. They wanted it to look like somebody cared. They wanted it to look like it should. There's a source of pride for him, for both of them. I mean, if everybody did what they've done, there wouldn't be a big weed problem in the counties.
I have helped Rowan and Marilyn manage the cattle here on their ranch for about 3 years. I get to be on a lot of other ranches, whether it's day helping or stuff I lease or just driving around the county. I do get to see a lot of acres, and this is by far the cleanest ranch I've ever been on. This ranch, if there's a weed, you notice it because it's out of place.
It's nice to see just good grass growing and, getting rains at the right time. It's been phenomenal, the amount of weight we've been able to put on yearlings. Last year, for example, we were able to put on 400 pounds on our steers in 5 months.
Just unheard of. It just doesn't happen. And the only way it does happen is just the care that Rowan and Marilyn have for their resource, for their land.
I was pretty stinking excited, and I thought, I wish Rowan was here. I mean, everything I know about all this weed control, I learned from him and from our sprayer, because Rowan was hell on weeds.
Before I bring Marilyn up here and our board members, do you guys have any questions about our task at hand?
Commissioners, you got any questions?
Perfect. We meet, Dallas?
Like I say, we appreciate the efforts very much. In regards, I know we had a long conversation last spring when we were talking about contracting out the spraying. How much of will we be able to measure the effectiveness of that contract spraying along the county right-of-ways and so forth?
That might be a question for Monty. I'm not quite sure about that. All of that information will be put into the state's database, and collectively over time, then we would have an idea of how that will play out.
Okay, yeah, a report back on what we think how much bang for the buck we're getting would be terrific. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job to all the board members. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Just one other side note quickly. We meet every other month on the third Wednesday. I know probably sometimes that might conflict with you guys' schedule here, but at any time we would love to have you come sit in at a meeting with us and just kind of see how we roll.
Real quick question. On the packets and the brochures that you guys do, you identify the different types of weeds, but you also identify the best way to control them?
Yes, that's what we're trying to do.
I haven't seen one in a little while. I saw one
Well,
years ago, but it's been a little
You know
while
what,
since
and
I've
I'm
seen
not
one.
even sure at this point that we have anything. I know that since the inception of this board, we've had like 3 different people that have sort of been our go-to person within the county. And currently, we don't have anybody like that. We can report directly to you guys, Sean Fletcher as well, and of course, the road and bridge. But so we're sort of without a wheel within the administration here to accomplish things like what we would try to do in the planning department so that the county,
I was just thinking to myself, if I saw one of those brochures, you know, you identify the weeds, I can go out in my pasture and I can look for those particular weeds, but then following through on that brochure, how do I control them, and, you know, what's the dosage, what's the best way to do it, and some specifics on how to move forward.
right, so there's a number of ways that you can do that. CSU has a really good website that has all of that. And there again, as we stated in the video, there's 4 different types. So you can either mechanically eliminate them, you can spray them. We've used biologicals in some cases where we've put out insects that feed on, say, the knapweed and the leafy spurge. And so that's a long-term effect. But a lot of people seem to be, when we've done public outreach, that's been the most interested portion of our mission, is the biological aspect of it. Because nobody wants to spray if they don't have to, but if you have to, you have to. But, so.
Okay, thanks.
What time are your meetings on Wednesday, and where are they located?
They're located at the Ag Building typically,
Okay.
and 10 o'clock. And our next one is the 16th of April.
Thank you.
You're welcome. With that being said, if I could ask our board members to come up. Marilyn?
My name is Sue Link, past board chair. We'd like to officially award Marilyn Tyson the very first award, and it's called the 2025 Gene Allen Memorial Award, Rowan and Marilyn Tyson, given by Elbert County Noxious Weed Board. Marilyn, just want to thank you and Rowan for all your efforts. And
You want to come out in front of the podium so you've got a little more room? And all right, next I'm going to give the public an opportunity. Are there any public comments regarding this? Okay. So next on the agenda is a discussion on tree removal policy updates. And we're going to ask Monty to come up and
Technical difficulties. Monty Hankins, Elbert County Road and Bridge Director, Public Works Director. I'd first like to speak about the noxious weed thing. Yeah, these folks have been doing a phenomenal job. Kind of start off with Sue and we all got going. Over the last few years, yeah, there's been some staff changes in Road and Bridge and different assigned person to assist with these folks with that. We currently have the second in command of Road and Bridge, our senior foreman, Jason Coring, is kind of our in-house weed person that does attend their board meetings and such with them. Road and Bridge also does budget right around $10,000 every year to give to the weed board so they can put out publications or drive, set up, do booths at different various events. So we've been trying to help with that. As for the contracted out weed spraying of the road right-of-ways, this will be the first year we've attempted this. In the past, Kevin was right. We do it with blade operators, which takes them off of their normal maintenance. Each route takes approximately 2 weeks to spray out, driving. We have 1,100 miles of dirt road, 300 miles of asphalt. So it's a lot of land to cover, when you're going down one side, coming back the other. You pretty much have to double all those numbers. So it's a monumental task. It does take away from typical maintenance operations. We researched it out and discovered that some of the surrounding counties do already do this contracted out procedure, and it works very well. They're professional weed spray companies that have the proper equipment. They have trucks that have all different kinds of chemicals. They can target the weeds specifically with the exact chemical designed for that weed. Whereas in Road and Bridge, we would use, kind of the more generic weed spray chemicals that'll cover a variety of different weeds when you spray. Also, the company that hopefully will bid and get hired, or a variety of them, they'll identify where they've sprayed, not only physically, thank you very much, not only physically out there on the road by putting a dye in the chemical they're spraying, so it'll turn that section of ditch where the weeds are a blue or a purple for X amount of hours, so they're in. One of the Road and Bridge supervisors, myself or Jason or someone, can go out, follow these people around, inspect their work, make sure the weeds got sprayed, because the dye will be there. Those folks will also do probably a much better, more thorough job of reporting the weeds to the state than Road and Bridge has done in the past. In the past, having 20 blade operators, try to draw on maps of where, Canadian thistle is, or leafy spurge, there's going to be a little error there. These guys, it'll be videoed, it'll be computer tracked and submitted that way. So it'll be a much more detailed professional system of managing the weeds within the county right away. So I'm really looking forward to it. We just got that bid put out to get contractors to bid on that yesterday at 4 p.m. We, I think, are doing a bid opening in about a week and a half from yesterday, and we'll see what we get. But we did, within our bid system and policies, we are allowed to, email notify people that do this kind of work. We have emailed, a couple of the contractors that do weed spraying for El Paso County and Arapahoe County, and so we'll see how that plays out. But I'm really looking forward to it. Should create a much better situation. Yeah, we will always continue to support the weed board and these folks behind me.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm really up here to discuss trees in the road right-of-way. In 2016, the county created its first tree policy. I don't think it ever got formally adopted by the board. It was approved by the county manager at the time. This thing kind of started snowballing when our emergency manager contacted me. He was doing his debris removal plan for the county, and in that we needed a couple critical other documents to include the tree policy within the debris management policy. But it needed to be approved. So the one we have from 2016 has been somewhat cumbersome for Road and Bridge in the fact that, yes, we notify the residents via mail. And then we give them X amount of weeks to potentially move a tree out of the right of way if they want to keep it before we cut it down or remove it. And in that process, they would pull a tree right-of-way permit from us for $250. And then after they move the tree, they have to get locates and all that for utilities. After they move the tree, then we go back out and inspect, make sure they didn't leave a giant hole in the side of the road or anything like that. And then we would reimburse them their $250. This whole process has, like I said, been very tough internally in managing it, in making the timelines line up good, to where we can dispatch crews and schedule work appropriately. So we'd like to kind of streamline this in the fact that the only changes we're really making within the 2016 policy is the fact that we would like to, nowadays with permits and stuff, everything's online. I mean, it used to be here in the county, everything was paper, people could come in and get a paper permit and do things that way. Now it's all online. We would like to also change that format to the tree policy. So we would do notifications via PIO or on the county website, of the specific location and dates associated with that we're going to head to those locations. Also, the other change is as much internal admin process and then also, road and bridge staff going out and inspecting if a tree actually got removed. The $250 reimbursement, we would like to eliminate that and just keep that as part of our permit fees, within road and bridge. So that kind of covers the cost of all the internal admin aspect of it. Just so the commissioners are aware, 2016, this former policy went into place. We have not had one resident move one tree since then in 9 years. So, I mean, it sounds good and stuff, and maybe someday someone will, and I'd like to see how that looks or how it all works and plays out. But I mean, it seems like the areas where we're cutting trees down, they already have so many trees on their property, they're really not concerned. If by chance we do a one-off tree like the stump that's in the picture right there, that was obviously a very large cottonwood alongside of a county road, and unfortunately someone hit that not paying attention at approximately 74 miles an hour, and it took their life. And so, we had to get that tree out of there, and we have a few trees like that within the county that we also identify and mitigate. But that was the deal with that one that happened last year. So there are a one-off every now and then, but the picture in the right is more about what we're talking about. And typically, I don't think people are taking advantage of the notification and tree removal process and or hiring a tree spade and moving trees just because they already have trees on their property. So if we could eliminate the letter mail out system and just go to more of an electronic system, I think it would help Road and Bridge. It would help our scheduling process be much more efficient. I don't know why my slideshow isn't moving. Anyway, also, we remove trees within the right-of-way for mostly on the Road and Bridge side for drainage purposes. What happens in the pictures I was going to show you, if my slideshow, oh, there we go. This is a perfect example of what happens in the winter in particular. This is Goldfinch Drive over Elizabeth in the Pines. This is our grader operator in 2019, after a big snowstorm, but this happens every big snowstorm. And it's very difficult to even remove snow. Where the middle of the grader is the middle of the road. So to effectively snowplow that road, he has to get, over, and then the branches, we've lost so many mirrors, lights, windshields, you name it, on these machines just because of trying to get clear the snow off the road when if we and we have since on that road mitigated some of those trees. But if we can get the road to the proper width without the branches being in the way, and even when it's dry out, we still have that issue just in grading operations, you know, taking mirrors off, breaking lights on the machines. So widening the road out and getting rid of the trees and the branches is critical to, you know, protect our machines and effectively maintain the road properly. Not to mention, the graders are not even, when the roads look like this, the graders are not able to get over in the shoulder, down in the ditch, keep the ditch created so we have proper drainage because the trees are in the way. So getting the trees out of the way, we can create better drainage, which also creates better roads. This picture here is Verdos Drive. Down at the bottom of it is Stagecoach Trail. This is in Ponderosa Park Estates subdivision. We did this a few years back. There was many drainage issues associated with this road and the road at the bottom, at the top right picture of the right picture. The folks that lived off Stagecoach Trail just on the other side of there, they received flooding within their houses all the time from this road right here just because the drainage wasn't proper. So on the left, you can see the before picture where the trees were encroaching, especially on the right side. We really couldn't create ditches properly. The road was essentially the ditch. And then therein, it would flood out the folks at the bottom. After we removed the trees and created some ditches and stuff, that's the picture on the right. Since then, the gentleman especially, you can kind of see the rooftop just to the right of that sign on the right picture. That gentleman has not received any water in his basement or around his house since we did this rebuild on this road. So, I mean, it's crucial for things like this for us to be able to get in, remove the trees, and create proper drainage and create a safer thing for everybody involved. Not to mention, just like when I was up here before, the fires. I mean, those roads are a perfect fire break. You know, especially in the trees around Elizabeth and things like that. There's scenarios within the emergency management world of 40 to 50 mile an hour winds and a fire over by Elizabeth. It's a fake computer scenario, but it's ugly. And the only thing that saves houses and lives and such in that scenario are the roads, the road breaks. And you know, if the trees are crowding the road, then it's just gonna hop from tree to tree and keep going. So it's crucial for us in fire mitigation too, to also be able to remove these trees within the road right away. So the tree policy is crucial. Just would like to streamline it a little bit. Kind of wanted to have discussion and see what your guys' thoughts were on the notification process, if you approve, if you don't approve, and if you, whatever you guys decide, we will write it appropriately and then put it on for approval at next BOCC. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, real quick. Talk about the notification process. I know Parks and Rec, Elizabeth Parks and Rec had a tree removal program, I think a year or two ago in Casey Jones Park, where they had some excess trees and they were going to be doing some building and some things. I think it was very successful. They had a lot of people coming and getting trees out of there, me being one of them. It was publicized, and I saw a lot of holes and trucks going in and out of there. You're saying your program, you haven't had one in 9 years. So my question to you is, how are we getting this out as far as notifying people that this program is available?
So the way we notify currently of the old 2016 policy is we mail out letters.
Okay, who would you mail that letter to? Just an adjacent property owner?
Yeah, our admin staff at Road and Bridge will identify an area, say 3 roads within a subdivision typically, and we'll get all the residents' address, all their names, and mail them actual physical letters for them and notify them that way. That has turned out to be somewhat kind of just an avenue for them to call in and raise heck with us.
Well, and you said they are the ones that typically have trees.
Correct.
So what you maybe want to do is expand that out into the citizenry to areas that don't have trees and let them know that that program is available.
That's why I think maybe posting it on the website or PIO as a countywide type system would be better than a streamlined, old school mail out letter option.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It's tough for people to do, because, I mean, they have to identify which trees they'd like in the areas we're gonna be working in. They have to rent a tree spade, they have to call in for locates, and they have to do traffic control, you know, and or get with us to do traffic.
And pay $250, and pay $250 on top of that.
Correct, so, yeah.
So it's a little cumbersome for
It is, yeah.
Okay.
But it's crucial for us to get these trees out of the right of way. It's a very slow process. I mean, I'll spend the rest of my career here and we won't get all the roads done, and probably my youngest person on staff will still be doing it.
Well, and then there's probably only a select few that are proportioned properly, the right size that people are gonna wanna move. A lot of them are gonna be saplings, a lot of them are gonna be big ones, like that one you showed on the right-hand side there of that road. It's gonna be too big to move.
A tree spade is limited to the size they can do. Correct.
That's all I had.
Commissioner Schroeder, do you have any questions?
Since we developed that policy, I know in the past you and I have had conversations about what happens to the trees that's cut down. I don't think I ever followed through and got you the information for the wood bank for people that help out with people that are needing wood.
Actually,
for
you
the,
did.
Okay.
I have contacted that gentleman.
So, but maybe we need to incorporate something in there that would, you know, what the trees that are cut down, how we're going to dispose of those, and for people that are disadvantaged or need wood through this gentleman or others that are doing service for citizens might be helpful.
When I did contact him, his thing at the time was, I have plenty of wood right now. I don't need any more. So I guess it would depend on that scenario. I mean, typically, you know, in the areas that we're cutting trees down, if the residents want the wood, we make sure that they can we'll stack it in the ditch, or there've been a couple cases where we'll just set it inside their fence or what have you for them to come get. But you know, if there's people in the area that want it, fine. We actually have some piles up at Road and Bridge right now that, you know, would be available if someone needed some wood. They would just need to make sure that they let us help in that.
Sure. Just another way to help people.
Keep our base safe, yeah.
Very good. That's a good policy. It's important. We need to.
Yeah, I just think the snail mail situation might need to go away and go to a more electronic, hit the whole county scenario.
We're looking at public relations person to be able to do these types of things, and social media, push out the message, so. All right.
Okay.
Any public comments regarding this? Okay, seeing none, I would like to ask that this item be placed on the next agenda for approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next item is discussion of the Rural Economic Development Initiative, and I'll ask our finance manager, Tiffany. Come up. Hi.
Morning, Commissioners. Tiffany Hermes, Finance Director. Before you, we have brought you some information pertaining to a grant for our feasibility on the fairgrounds. Our current master plan was completed in 2012. This would give us the opportunity to update our plan and opportunity to grow what our fairgrounds should be doing. We provide a lot of services to the county through our fairgrounds and would like to open that up to even more. But without a correct plan, we really don't know what direction to go right now. This grant would give us $50,000. It's a 50-50 match. So they would give us $25,000 and we would come up with $25,000. We would have a year to sign the contract after award, and then another 2 years after that to actually expend the money. And this award should be granted around July of 2025 if we apply. We are coming to you today to get approval to apply for that grant.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for us?
Commissioners?
I know we've made quite a bit of improvements in the fairgrounds the last 12 months, but it's kind of been our best guess of what might be the direction to go. To have some professionals look at it and give us some good guidance and how the finances do that, I think is a tremendous thing. As I understand it, there is a time frame with this.
Correct. So the deadline to apply for the grant is today. So I apologize for the short notice, but we would like to move on this, but we must have BOC approval to apply for this grant.
Okay. Commissioner Buck? Okay. We'll circle back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any public comments? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next.
Mr. Chair, given the need for this to be approved today, if it's permissible, I'd like to make a motion to move item G3, the Rural Economic Development Initiative, into action today as item H6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. So you got your answer. Okay. Jump ahead here. Next items we have here, the action items. Consideration of the February 26, 2025 minutes. Ask for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the February 26th, 2025 minutes and dispense with the reading.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Consideration of March 3, 2025 minutes. Ask for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the March 3, 2025 minutes and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have a consideration of approval of the Elbert County Debris Management Plan. And we have Aaron back up here. I'm told to tell you 10 minutes and that's it. So
No worries.
just a joke.
Thank you, Commissioners. So, as you're aware, last hearing, we discussed the debris management plan, and this is a comprehensive daily operation and emergency management plan that I didn't realize this, but after speaking at the conference of the Colorado Emergency Management Association recently with my colleague Ashley Deanne, we are pretty much setting an industry standard here. There are 64 counties in Colorado. The majority of them do not have a debris management plan. I didn't realize that until I had multiple colleagues coming up to me and asking for this plan after it's been formally adopted. So this is bringing us to industry standards, gold standards, and to address your question, Dallas, you had from Monty, the ADA compliance and assistance with debris removal for ADA compliance is listed in the plan. So we have a phenomenal individual that will be helping implement this plan that is part of the memorandum before you. But if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
We could get together later because I've got a location that just came to my attention that was a dumping area with debris in the county. And we'll talk about that. But
yes, sir.
Commissioners, you have any questions?
How much did we charge the other counties for all the work we did for them as they're going to adopt our plan?
Yeah. So we have a funny saying in emergency management, plagiarism is the highest form of flattery.
I understand.
So we like to share because this is beneficial for not just Elbert County, but having other communities, rural, socioeconomic, developing communities have access to these plans gives them the opportunity to get for reimbursement from the state and from the federal. So, you know, neighbors helping neighbors, so you have that organization here. I like to think of it like that. So.
No, I understand.
They buy me lunch every once in a while.
There's great collaboration across the counties and different departments, as I've experienced in different areas, and I didn't understand this is one of them. We help them, they help us at other times. But it's terrific to be first one out of the gate, so good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Buck?
Yeah, it was a good plan. I read through it, learned a lot. I didn't know how much I didn't know about debris management. But you identify the Elbert County Fairgrounds as a primary site, as a collection site on your identification of sites that you use, primary and secondary. That's the very first one listed. So I want to make sure we coordinate that with Tiffany and that plan that she's going to be working on or applying for funds for, and make sure that that is in cooperation with that, and we don't get sideways with those plans there.
Yes, of course. All of those sites were specifically identified by Monty's department, the Road and Bridge and Public Works. So they were strategically located for that purpose and for the development and implementation of that grant and committee. I'd be happy to make myself available for considerations, regarding the debris management so that we can maintain compliance and make improvements to the fairgrounds. And if anything, we can make the debris site as a primary site more efficient and more ADA compliant and make it better for the citizens. So, sometimes God aligns things. We got the tree removal policy today. We got that. Then debris removal, noxious weeds. Like sometimes it all comes together. So yes, I think that'd be great and more than happy to work with my colleague. And here he comes.
Yeah, I'll just speak to that real quick. On the far north end of the fairgrounds, past the HHS building on the north end, northwest corner, is the old Road and Bridge lot yard up there. I don't know if it's technically part of the fairgrounds. I'm not sure.
It is.
We have always used that for equipment storage and things of that nature. In the past, we did a trash days thing that turned into a mess, but anyway, so we've always used that. So it isn't like they will be bringing debris right to the fairgrounds and making it look ugly. It's more on that northwest.
Yeah, it just depends on what that study comes out with and what the recommendations from the consultant brings forth in their presentation and that sort of thing. That may not be the best use for it anymore. We may come up with a better use, and you might have to rely on some of these other sites. So just keep that in the back of your mind. That's all I'm trying to say.
And our policy at emergency management, all of our plans are revised every 3 years. So if the amendment needs to be made, that's why there's a record of change in the beginning. If that needs to be amended appropriately for the betterment of the county, we are happy to do so. But that's why we requested multiple primary, secondary, and tertiary sites as debris sites. So we are tracking in.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ask for any public comment. All right, seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Elbert County Debris Management Plan as presented.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Good job.
Is there an opportunity to read and recite the memorandum that as presented and signatures authorized? Did we have that today? Part of the adoption? Is that next?
I don't see it on this agenda, but.
No worries at all. Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is consideration of appointment of Daniel McCallum to the Planning Commission to represent District 3. Ask commissioners if there is any discussion on this appointment. All right, seeing none, I'll ask if there are any public comments. And I'll ask for a motion then.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Daniel McCallum to the Planning Commission to represent District 3.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the consideration of appointment of Diana Edstrom to the Planning Commission to represent District 2. I would ask the commissioners if there are any discussions on this appointment.
I would like to make a comment.
Okay.
This is Dallas's pick from District 2, and I respect that. I also spoke with Deanna at length. I even spoke with her husband at length. She's very intelligent and knowledgeable about Elbert County. But I did get letters, and when I get letters from recommendation from two of the largest developers in the county for a position on our planning commission, that is very concerning to me. So that's all I had as far as a comment.
And before I go to Commissioner Schroeder, I've got a couple of comments here. So there's been a lot of talk, and I'm sorry that you've had to go through that. We've had some people who are not in favor so much, but I've got here in this folder, which I'd like to make a matter of record, I've got 42 letters of recommendation for that. I've got text messages. My phone's been beeping while we've been through this meeting. So there's a lot of support for your appointment and from a lot of good people in leadership positions in this county as well. So I just want to put that out there. And also want to say next, I'm going to give Commissioner Schroeder an opportunity here in just a minute to make comments. But right after that, we're going to ask for public comments. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that you're welcome to make public comments, that you're right. But we ask that you be professional and courteous for any comments, whether for or against. And with that being said, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you mentioned, Ms. Edstrom is my selection to be on the Planning Commission, and there's several reasons why I've selected her. I've known Diana for several years now. She has worked tirelessly and extensively with us in the election department when I was a clerk and recorder as an election judge. I found her to be knowledgeable and thorough and did everything in her power to make sure we were doing things correctly and did it right. So her integrity was never in question when the times that I worked with her. And it's an honor to nominate somebody that has a level of integrity as she does. I appreciate the chair expressing how many letters of support that have come in, and those reflect the same views that I just said. How wonderful it is to work with Diana, the integrity that she has, the attention to detail that she has, the research that she's willing to do, and in addition to that, ask the tough questions. And her and I haven't always agreed. And during election time, during break, she'd sit down and she'd have some tough questions, and we would get through them. But I think that's something that's lacking in our society today, is to be able to have disagreements from time to time, still have an open discussion, and still leave on friendly terms. And I believe Diana can keep that going as she becomes a Planning Commission member, I hope, and will be able to benefit the county greatly. In regards to the number of letters that we received in support of her, it ranges the gamut. Commissioner Buck mentioned that there were some developers that put a letter in. And if you read through that letter, it also extends the same thing that I just said. They don't always agree, but we're able to have a conversation. And so we have people that are on one side of an issue and ones that are on completely the other side of the issue that have all said that they thought Diana would be a good selection to be able to judiciously look at the applications that come forth in the Planning Commission, apply that to our regulations, and make the appropriate decision. And that's the role of the Planning Commission. And from there, it becomes a recommendation for the three of us to go forth and make a final decision. But it's imperative that we have a wide variety of ideas, people like Diana that will look deep into the regs, deep into the application, and make sure that it matches. And that's the goal of what every planning commissioner should have, is to apply the application to what the regs say and not let any personal feelings get involved, because it's those hearings, just like ours at land use, are a quasi-judicial hearing. We are just looking at the facts, and that's what we need to do. Mr. Chair, I'm wholeheartedly ready to make a motion. If you'd rather have public comment before the motion, we can do that, or I can make the motion at this time.
I think we just stay in order here and go to public comment. Is there any public comment?
My name is Kim Boyd. I'm the town administrator for the town of Kiowa. Dear BOCC Chairman and Commissioners, on behalf of the Town of Kiowa Board of Trustees and the Kiowa Water and Wastewater Board of Directors, we want to express our strong opposition to the appointment of Diana Edstrom to the County Planning Commission District 2 seat. Over the past year, Ms. Edstrom has displayed egregious behavior that has disrupted the official business of not only the Town of Kiowa, but also the Authority Board in a number of ways. Actions included but were not limited to intentionally attempting to record an executive session of the Town Board of Trustees that involved legal discussion pertaining to a well development agreement with developer Tim Kraft. Further, Ms. Estrom continuously or consistently spoke out of order during various Board of Trustee and authority meetings, causing disruption and lack of respect to the public process and open meeting laws, and necessitating the need to bring in extra duty security from the Elbert County Sheriff's Office to return and maintain order during our meetings. At least one meeting of which she was asked to leave due to her disruptions by the same deputies. Aside from the previously stated, we want to be clear that although the position does not directly affect the town of Kiowa in any way other than Kiowa clearly sitting in the district you are proposing to appoint her to, we believe it is important that the Board of County Commissioners understand that the town of Kiowa in no way endorses the nomination of Ms. Estrom based on the following. On March 11, 2024, while the town clerk was shuttling all community participants out of the boardroom for an executive session, she noticed Ms. Estrom left her phone and another device in her seat, but she takes various other files and papers with her. The items left behind were shortly thereafter determined to be her phone and a recording device, both left open and on record. But before Ms. Davidson, or the clerk, realized this, she advised Ms. Estrom that she had left the items in her seat. The recording of this meeting, you can clearly hear Ms. Estrom telling her those items are fine and to leave them there. Trustee Hart advised Ms. Davidson it was not okay, but Ms. Estrom had already left the building. Outside the camera, Ms. Davidson secures them in her desk inside the building outside of the meeting room and returns them to her when the executive session is concluded. Mayor Colm read a blanket statement at the next monthly meeting the following night, addressing the incident without directly naming her. Commissioners, this is a criminal act the Elbert County District Attorney refused to prosecute, and that message was relayed to me through an agent with the Colorado Bureau of Investigations. I was told the town needs to sue her civilly in district court if we want to pursue the matter further. On June 11, 2024, during public comment segment of the Kiowa Water and Wastewater Authority monthly meeting, Ms. Estrom made a 5-minute and 26-second statement during public comment, which she prefaced by stating to me she does not have a 3-minute time limit because it's not my board. The most flagrant misconduct on behalf of Ms. Estrom occurred on June 13, 2024, when I personally received a call from the USDA inquiring into who Diana Estrom actually was. It seems she had been contacting them for several months, holding herself out as a representative of the town. She made her way to the regional director and a public information officer before the representative assigned to her account reached out to me to clarify her position and purpose for contacting them. On July 9, 2024, I was advised the KWWA board at their monthly meeting of the USDA's communication regarding Ms. Estrom's activities with them. Later at the same meeting, a sheriff's deputy had to remove her from the back of the boardroom after being asked more than twice to stop being disruptive. Again, let me be clear. Her attempt to present herself as a representative of this office and an employee acting on my behalf is a criminal act. But it was incumbent on the USDA to seek charges in the matter, and they ultimately chose to flag KWWA's account with the information and not pursue criminal charges. Commissioners, over the course of several months, specifically from April to October 2024, she filed 21 public record requests from April to October, with our most recent request coming in once she was advised by whomever that the town and authority had communicated their opposition to her nomination and potential appointment. She sent in excess of 72 emails to me, 99 to our town clerk in a 6-month period between May and October 2024. I do not think I need to tell you that these public record requests were extensive and time-consuming for a town with limited personnel and financial resources, especially for an individual who was not even a resident of Kiowa. She engaged in a campaign against the town, not even as a resident of the town, completely on the tax dollars of the town of Kiowa residents. And for what? Please know there's a considerable amount of approved minutes, correspondence, open record requests by Ms. Estrom to both entities.
Commissioner, that's 5 minutes.
Can you wrap it up quickly?
Yeah. In closing, in the opinion of both the town board and the current authority board, Ms. Estrom lacks the integrity and moral compass of an individual suited to serve as a member of your planning commission and as a public servant capacity. She is a liability to you and the work you're all trying to accomplish with this county. Please choose wisely.
Noted. Any other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Debbie Alum. I live at 11195 Copper Canyon Circle. I will say, as a resident and business owner who's served on many boards and committees throughout the county, I respectfully ask that you appoint Diana Edstrom as a Planning Commission member. Her insight and dedication and follow-through are priceless to the citizens of Elbert County. As the previous president of the KWWA that was mentioned, I was there for over 6 years. I've seen many changes in the Kiowa administration. I worked closely with Diana as we explored rules and regulations. There were many open records requests. I turned in many. That is my right as a citizen, and to have it brought before me is a problem. We worked together on many projects, asking the previous county commissioners to consider a moratorium on development applications. It was to allow time to update the master plan, traffic study, and water studies. We did not openly support development. We didn't want it in our backyard. Diana is willing to stand for what is right when rules are broken, even when it is not the popular opinion. I trust her to always know right from wrong. Her support of Tim Kraft in particular was regarding a position on a board with Kiowa Water and Wastewater, not regarding the proposed developments. There have been many accusations thrown out, and I believe they are vindictive and unfounded. Support from a realtor may not be advantageous, but I have lived in Elbert County for 48 years. I raised my family and my grandchildren, and we all call this home. We will be here no matter what. It is home. As I say to so many, no, I'll be here when you're gone. I've said it to many. I am so much more than a realtor. I love Elbert County and trust Diana Edstrom to protect everything my family loves about Elbert County. Over the years, Diana has been supportive of events throughout the county, the schools, and fire districts. She is an asset to any committee, and I have depended on her research abilities many times. I am proud to call Diana Edstrom a friend and hopefully a member of our Elbert County Planning Commission. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any other public comments? All right, seeing none. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Morning, afternoon. Danny Wilcox, 5372 Timber Ridge Drive, Elizabeth. Okay, I support Diana in an appointment to the Planning Commission. I've known Diana for many years. We've often been on opposite sides. We have of a situation, and that's good because that's always wanted. She researches so many county policies, and oftentimes more so than I do. She is really familiar with the current regulations, and that might be one reason why you're hearing from the developers, because actually she understands the regulations and how it applies to the development, and actually works to hold them accountable in staying compliant. She's a very honest person. She knows where the county sits economically and socially. But I'm really not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about kind of this whole process in which this was brought about. It's kind of a disgraceful process. When you took it off the consent agenda and you put it in public view, and you knew, you had to have known the comments and stuff that were being said on social media that were behind this. And there's a lot of accusations. It's kind of like we're playing out of court here in really appointing a person to a volunteer board. And I really, it's upsetting because what you did, you pulled it off the consent agenda and you put it out there. You invited the comments. You set the venue for it. You set the venue for the attacks to the attacks on an individual, on a citizen who's all she's trying to do is just be a member of this board and serve her community. Okay, so that's where I'm kind of, I mean, I read the comments on social media. They were demoralizing, dehumanizing. They were utterly, they discouraged her as a female, as a respected female in this community. So, and I don't know why this was done. Maybe it was because you might have a perception that she may have a little different view than you. So where does that put us? So, and I hope it wasn't deliberate, and I hope there wasn't an intent, the intent wasn't to slander her in a public setting. I really hope that was not the case. But appearance sometimes is just overcoming. And the other thing, I look back at appointments, and I don't know how long I have left here. 2 minutes, okay. I look back at appointments. You know, we've had a revolving door in this planning commission, and to date, I do not remember anybody pulled out and put in a situation like this. We have literally, in fact, the one person that's on this agenda, the last conversation I had with him, he was already a member, and then there were other parts of that conversation I wish I never had, which will come up later. That was Mr. McCallum, but he's already a member. He didn't have to go through this. There were 2 other members sitting on that board that didn't have to go through this public setting. And they didn't have to pull them off. Now, I see Dan was on this, and that's good. Because if you're going to do it, you need to do it with everyone and continue this process. Okay, so at that, you know, just everything on display here is really, and I can't say it was wrong. What I can say, it was actually mean. And it was really discouraging for her and everybody who had to kind of listen to this stuff. So with that, the only thing I can say is I hope you appoint her. And I would say, which I think you did. Byron, thank you. There was an apology made. So, thank you. Thanks for the time.
Noted. And I'm just going to make a comment to this overall. We received information that we as board members felt like we owed it to the county, to the citizens, to look into accusations. And we felt like that also, since this was the first time we've been faced with this, we felt like it was better to change the policy into how we review applicants for the Planning Commission and do our due diligence to make sure that we vet everybody in a different way instead of a commissioner saying, I want John Doe over here to be on the Planning Commission, and they get voted in. So we did change this in order to run things to ground. We asked for this to be delayed for a couple of weeks to give those individuals who had complaints to come forward. And I guess I'm probably saying too much. I don't have Bart over there pointing his finger at me yet. But our delay, and the reason, and I've explained this to Ms. Estrom, is in order to do our due diligence, as I've said. So, and we feel like we've done that. So with that being said, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Chair, I move to appoint Diana Edstrom to the Planning Commission to represent District 2.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Motion carries. Thank you. And I am sorry you had to sit and go through this. Thank you for being a volunteer for the county. It's an important role. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Would you like to attach the letters of recommendation to the minutes?
Yes, I would. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the consideration of approval of the Rural Economic Development Initiative. And I'll ask the finance manager, Tiffany, to come forward.
Hello
All right, hi. So, commissioners, do we have any additional discussion on this item?
I have none.
Sir? All right, are there any public comments? Okay, I'll ask for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Rural Economic Development Initiative.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, thank you. Next item on the agenda is board planning, and this is setting for our next meeting. So do we have any additional items that need to be added to this list? Commissioner Schroeder, do you have anything?
Not at this time.
Commissioner Buck?
Not at this time.
All right, do we have any department heads?
Bart Greer, County Attorney. As we have just made 2 new appointments to the Planning Commission, we will have an update for the appointments resolution that's typically done fairly early in the year for Board of County Commissioner appointments. In addition to, so we'll go ahead and do that, include those, and then in addition to that, there will be the inclusion of a cutoff period for land use hearings to be at 3:45 in the afternoon on Wednesdays. If we are continuing up to 3:45, we will have a cutoff point and continuous, most likely, if something extends beyond that or is not completed at that point in time. So that'll also be included within the appointments resolution.
Okay, thank you. Any others? Okay, so we have the introduction to the CTSI and insurance pool. Then we have the tree removal policy update that would be added to that as well. Next item on the agenda is the land use hearings for 1 p.m. and we do not have any schedule for today. So with that being said, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 10:58. Thank you.